What is up, guys? Ep.33 and welcome back to another episode of Katawa Shoujo. Last time we left off, we watched Lilly play with herself, which was interesting. And then we started to have sex, and now I think I'm having a heart attack. Because of my heart. This is interesting. What the fuck? I was not expecting this. I kind of just want to read, so I apologize. I usually talk a bit more in these intros, but I'm very curious about what's happening. So let's jump right into this. Seconds pass, and I carefully measure out the rhythm of my heartbeats with every ounce of concentration I can muster. My heart is normal. It's back to normal. My body feels utterly bizarre as I lay dazed on the floor, looking at the ceiling. The adrenaline from before is still pouring through my veins, but my mind is completely exhausted. I prop myself up as I hear Lilly getting off the bed and coming towards me. Hisao, are you okay? Hisao? I'm fine, Lilly. I'm fine. She gives a sigh of relief, her word expression collapsing. Her face afterwards is the very last I'd ever want to see from her. It's a face I'd detested when I first saw my parents in the hospital all these months ago. Pity, Lilly. Lilly pities me. I just close my eyes and turn away, powerless. I feel like throwing up. I can hear the sound of Lilly moving away and quickly attending to herself, the ruffling of her clothes being pulled back on after a moment of searching, just barely audible. Sorry. She slowly shakes her head as she finishes buttoning up her top. Her kind smile looks so fragile, so delicate, that it makes my heart sink. Approaching carefully, she feels at the edge of the low table before taking a seat next to me, putting her arms around my chest. I'm sorry, Hisao. I shouldn't have pushed my desires onto you. You don't need to apologize. I'd normally be fine. You've seen that much before. I guess I shouldn't have tried to push myself so far. My eyelids feel heavy. Calmly sitting next to her like this is probably letting the adrenaline work itself out of my system and letting my mind relax. So that's why you never took the lead. Yeah, I guess it's a good thing you'd like to, huh? The joke seems to lighten her expression a little, a fact which helps let me feel less uneasy about my unreliable self. As it comes to rest on my shoulders, I struggle to keep my eyes open. With more difficulty after each blink, I feel completely drained. It's okay, Hisao. It's all okay. No sooner does she say this than a small, quiet tune escapes her lips. Entirely too tired to think, all I can do is listen to her soft humming. Oh, I almost threw up. It's okay. I was burping and it almost turned to vomit, but that's alright. It's a soft, almost melancholic tune. It sounds familiar, but the more I try to remember its origin, the less I seem able to concentrate. The feeling and scent of her head, gently resting on my shoulder, and her warm body against my side are soothing. The soft humming of her voice, too, relaxes my mind as much as her warmth relaxes my muscles. The singular quiet moment, after all this fracas? I don't know how to pronounce that. If you relate just how exhausted I've become, I can feel my eyelids slowly becoming heavier and heavier. Even with the chaos of before, I wish this moment would last forever. Lilly and I together, sharing a single, solitary occasion together, just as we used to. But if that's the case, why does she feel further away than she's ever felt before? That was definitely very interesting. Was not expecting that. Almost died. The moment when you almost die from having sex. That sucks. Jesus fucking Christ. Not cool. Damn it. The loud clattering of books falling into the return slot abruptly breaks the grip of silence over the school library. It's become a habit for me to come to the library at least once a week. Not only does the reading itself keep me busy, but discussing books with Hanako and Lilly also does. Obviously startled, Yuko suddenly twists towards the direction of the noise. I'd have thought her used to people dropping books by now, since she does work here. Oh, hello, Hisao. Back again? It takes me a moment to respond, my mind still distracted by the familiar melody of Lily's humming that's hardly left my ears in the several days it's been since I fell asleep to it. Oh yeah, just returning some books I borrowed. She cast her eyes downwards, presumably to the bin the books dropped into. You're a very heavy reader, aren't you? It's become a bit of a routine now, passes the time at least. I wish I had free time to pass. From small talk to depression in less than 5 seconds. I think that's a new record for her. She seems a bit down in general today, even compared to normal. Considering she has to work 2 jobs just to support herself, I could see how that would take a toll on her lifestyle. Come to think of it, the pay for a job here can't be all that bad. The idea of staff in such a prestigious private school going hungry strikes me as counterintuitive. Working 2 jobs must take a lot of time. I'd probably never manage. You're lucky, being a student. Do you think you'll be able to go to university? If she's asking, then I guess that's the expected result of having this kind of education. Prep schools like this don't exactly come cheap. I guess. I have the money, I think. I've got plans which will require going to one, and my grades are good enough. It's more a matter of how I'll pay to do so. University costs so much that I'm having to work 2 jobs to afford to enter it. Paying for daily expenses, too, makes it a lot harder. If you're reading this much, though, that means you're doing well in school, right? Interesting logical jump. Not an altogether wrong one, though. I suppose so. I didn't find any of the exams very hard, aside from maybe 1 or 2. Do you mind if I ask what studies you're pursuing in university? Yuko appears to generally brighten at the question. Anthropology, to be specific. Specializing in history of classical era Athenian civilization democracy. Words! She really seems to know her stuff. Such enthusiasm is to be admired, and it's nice to see her genuinely excited about something. I guess even somebody like Yuko can be happy if she has a visible road ahead of her. Let's go fuck! The shake! It's like 3 jump scares today! What the frig? God! Damn it! I don't remember this game being a horror game. Jesus Christ. Both of us jump at the sudden interruption coming from my pocket. Apologizing profusely and quickly shuffling into the hallway. As I fumble with the cover of my mobile phone, I glance at the screen. Weird. It's a mobile number I don't recognize. Considering I can count the number of people with my number on one hand, I briefly wonder whether it's some telemarketer or that lucked out. Hello, Hisao Nakai speaking. Geez, pick up faster next time. Anyway, guess who? Is that Kenji? It only takes a few seconds to distinctly deep prescript. Oh, it's Misha. Hey, Misha, didn't expect you to call me. Huh? You actually think I sound like her? Oh, it's Akira. I was like, it's either Kenji or Akira. I was surprised, but it was Misha. Not at all, Akira. I don't remember giving you my number, though, so I thought I'd mess with you. Oh, that. I got Lilly to give it to me. Not hard. She positively brims with pride at the statement. She's trying to get me caught up in her pace, I know it. I suppose I shouldn't be surprised that the two would share my number, though, given how close they are. So what's up? You free right now? I guess? Why? Could you meet me at the park in town? I just want to talk to you about some stuff. Is that an invitation to a date? What? Of course not. She sounds suddenly crestfallen, her previous teasing nature having instantaneously left. It seems strange for her. Anyway, I don't see why not. What do you want? When do you want to meet? Kind of now-ish. Wait, right now? But it's... The dead sound suddenly coming from the phone announces the fact that she has unceremoniously hang up. For a long time, I just stand there, staring at the call ended message on the screen while replaying the conversation in my head. What the hell, Akira? Throwing a glance up and down the street, I cross the road and step into the park. I've learned to pace myself on such walks, mostly because Lily's slower speed during our forays into town means I have to consciously slow myself down. Also, Hisao, can you have your ringer a bit less loud? Like, Jesus Christ. Oh my god. That aside, I hope Akira didn't expect me to be immediately prompt. And there's Akira. She'd be drinking that beer. I think it's a beer. Yeah, it's a beer. It takes only a couple of seconds to spot her, waiting on a bench with a can of beer in her hand. The look she gives me as I walk lacks any kind of acknowledgement of greeting. What's with that look? I didn't have come, you know. I knew you would. You're the kind of person, after all. I lower my brow at her remark as she disposes of the can, emptied by the time I arrived, and a metallic clattering rings out. Kira takes a seat on the old wooden bench, and I follow her lead. She takes another can of beer from beside her and opens it before speaking, taking a large gulp. She seems to really like that stuff. I suppose I don't need to ask what this is about, or rather, who it's about. I heard from Lilly that you asked about our family. They share more than phone numbers, that's for sure. I'd probably be very worried right now if it weren't for the total lack of malice in her voice. Rather, the tone sounds almost wistful. Idle curiosity, mostly. I have to admit, I'd never have guessed you two were half Scottish. She gives a rare chuckle of amusement. I've heard that before, trust me. The small smile falls from her face, her eyes looking ahead distantly. Aside from the occasional elderly couple talking as they slowly walk with meandering paths, and the odd aging car, it's pleasantly quiet. She didn't tell you everything though, did she? It was pretty brief. Your parents lived in Scotland, and she hasn't met them since she was 12, and she wants to meet them again. It's always surprised me how devoted she is to our parents, for all the good they did us. The way she says it sounds almost derisive. She gives a small sigh, as if to quickly brush the feelings away. Why do you think they left, Hisao? Why do I think they left? From what Lilly told me, it was because of work. I guess a pretty decently paying job was involved as well, given the way your parents seem to live. So Lilly went to a private school, and that's why she carried herself with the airs and graces of the upper class. Yeah, since the business in Inverness boomed, our father decided to move directly to the same city as its headquarters. That's just a conclusion I thought you'd come to, though. You're too good-natured. You don't think they left for their career? I'm sitting here bitching to you about it. What do you think? About Yamaku Academy. I've always felt that place was kind of creepy. Like it was an isolated hideaway for those proper society doesn't want to see or know here. They probably just rued the fact that Lilly wasn't old enough to be shoved there by the time they left. A long silence follows her abrupt and very harsh criticism of her own parents, and Yamaku. Lilly's blindness is hardly something that could be simply ignored for a high-class family attempting to keep up appearances, much less so when a lucrative offer isn't on the table. Eventually, Kira gives a assertive snort, her feelings coming to a head. Moving to secure a financial future with his new job hosting, even at the time, I hardly believed it. I wanted to simply be an avenue for her venting, and generally try to steer the discussion. So you stayed in Japan with Lilly, then? Either I stayed with her, or she went to live with an ailing grandmother and grandfather. What about Shishine's family? If they're cousins, then... Our fathers hate each other. I'd have been more than happy to tell them to go screw themselves and live with them anyway, but Lilly wouldn't have wanted that. I'd also had an offer for a job by then, so we did our best to keep our parents' house in proper shape, and tried to continue our lives as if they'd never left. So you just lived by yourselves. Basically. Lilly had school and I had my job, so we weren't exactly languishing. With her schooling, her study, and having to do chores while I worked, though, I can't help feeling like I failed her. In the end, I tried to be there for her, and screwed up. Expecting a 19-year-old to be a mother for a blind child, it's ridiculous. So, Lilly and Akira lived alone after their parents moved, with Lilly largely taking care of herself. I guess that explains her apparent independence compared to many in Yamaku. I may have lived alone much of the time since my parents both worked, but that's just something entirely different. Sorry for making you listen to my moaning, Hisao. I don't mind at all, but do you mind if I ask why you're telling me all this? You always were curious. Context, I suppose. Life isn't a fairy tale, Hisao. Some people have to learn that the hard way. She takes a long drink from the can in her hand, her face becoming more depressed and distant. I broke up with my boyfriend a few days ago. After I leave, we're not going to be able to see each other again. But that's how life is. You can't just set your life up and expect it to stay that way forever. Sometimes stuff happens that you have to roll with, even if it means hurting yourself or others. That sucks. She takes a long breath before looking up at the bright orange sky. Damn. If I smoked, I could take a long, nice drag right about now and look kinda cool. I want to respond to help her in whatever way I can, but I feel utterly useless. This kind of situation is one I've never been in, and I simply don't have the experience to say anything meaningful to comfort her. Akira looks over and evidently picks up on this, much to my embarrassment. I must look pretty pathetic right now, whining about this to someone I barely know. Hardly, and I'm pretty much an expert on looking pathetic. She gives a chuckle, the act feeling like a personal victory for me. You're a good kid, Hisao. When I said that I approved of you being with my sister, I wasn't joking or just being nice. She picks herself up off the seat with a grunt, one that seems ill-fitting given her age, and throws the now empty can into the bin after one last swig. It's just uncomfortable that doesn't really count for much in this world. When I said that I was leaving for Scotland, I was doing it because a good position opened up in our company's headquarters. When our folks told me that when we were at their place, though, they also gave Lilly a summons to rejoin them in Inverness. Oh, is she leaving? No way. He evasive when asked about her future, that awkwardness that had steadily grown between us, that uncharacteristic outburst of anger. All of them suddenly fit into place. The same family that she reminisced about after Hanako's birthday party. The same family that left her and Akira to themselves at taking flight to greener pastures. Now I feel stupid for never cornering Lilly on what was bugging her. I'd never even considered if something had happened during her trip to her family's home in Inverness. and now a sense of unease grows in my chest. If her family has summoned her to join them in Scotland, all the way on the other side of the earth, has she accepted? Lilly hasn't told me whether she plans to accept, and it seems she hasn't told you either. That's why I called you down here to talk us out. Context, huh? I sit back, my feelings of worry and frustration no doubt written all over my face. Lilly's a strong person, Hisao, but she's not infallible. I guess it's my job to worry about her, being her older sister, but I think that you deserve to know. I understand. You okay? You sound depressed. No, I'm just thinking. That's good. Thinking is good. Being rash won't get you anywhere. She looks at her watch, barely moving her wrist. I've gotta go. Will you be okay? I'll be fine, don't worry. I'll have to talk to Lilly about it and get everything sorted out. She gives a smile, but it doesn't feel all that genuine or sincere. Really, both of us are dancing around the fact that Lilly's on the principle of the biggest decision of her life and is trying to take the entire burden on herself. And part of that burden is the matter of our relationship. By the time I look up, Akira is already walking off with her hand held high. For the first time in a long while, I finally have an answer to something. Perhaps not even that, but at least I now have the right question to ask. Will you leave or stay? That's depressing as shit. I don't want her to leave. No! Leave. Don't leave. Of course it's fucking raining. It's a lot of swearing in this episode. I apologize. But if she leaves, I'm going to be really upset. You're going to see a man break down. Hurry, Lilly. I'm moving as fast as I can. I can barely make out Lilly's voice over the deafening pounding of the rain. Even though I dislike pulling her around, the situation calls for it. I turn forward, my free hand over my head in a futile attempt to keep at least my hair dry. My vision seems to be in grayscale. This really is rotten weather for the summer, and the last kind of climate I'd want for a date. A pity. I'd even checked the weather forecast beforehand, one of the very few times I've ever done so, only for it to say that Sunday afternoon would be fine. Looking to Lilly, her shoulders are by now completely drenched, with her right hand holding tightly to mine, and her left gripping her retracted cane. The horrid downpour came on just as we were between our destination and Yamaku, so we decided to try rushing the rest of the distance rather than doubling back. Entirely unused to running this fast, Lily's using all her concentration just to avoid tripping her over. Hisao, do you know where you're going? Even she's reduced to shouting to try and be heard over the combined noise of the wind and rain. The shit! The rest of my voice is completely drowned out by an even heavier burst of rain. The what? The Shanghai! How far is it? It shouldn't be far now. It doesn't take long before I can call out to her once again. It looks like we're safe, just up ahead. I quickly pull up to a stop just in front of the familiar exterior, the lantern outside still giving off its reliable glow, and wait for Lily to catch her breath before going in. Ladies first. The tiny bell inside rings out when I hold the door open for her, a smile and a polite nod being my reward before entering myself. Ay vey, what an episode, holy shit. Wow. As I step in behind her and wipe my feet, only a quick glance is necessary to notice the distinct lack of activity. Shanghai doesn't seem to get much in the way of patronage, and today is no different. Only a couple of tables are occupied. Summoned by the bell's ring, a most expected person comes to greet us. What's up, Yuko? Welcome to Shanghai! Yuko looks chippier today. Trying to predict her moods is pretty hard, but it's a nice change from the norm. Hello, Yuko. Hey. Good afternoon, you two. She bows, takes a deep bow, somewhat taken aback as she rights herself again and gets a better look at us. What happened to you? You both look... Her eyes drift towards the glass at the door behind us. Oh dear. We're inside now, at least. I think that's the most important thing. It's nice and cozy. You're lucky to be working inside today. It has been nice and quiet. I like days like this. Oh wait, sorry. Is there anything you'd like? French vanilla tea, please. I'll have the same. Right, coming right up. She quickly scatters off with a determined look on her face, trying very hard not to forget our orders. If nothing else, she is at least dedicated to her jobs. Whew. Alright, I think we're gonna end off right here. Thank you guys so much for watching this episode of Katawa Shoujo. If you did enjoy, make sure to like button down below so you're not subscribed today. A lot of information being thrown at us today. Wow. Jesus Christ. Oh, boy. Alright, well, Thank you guys so much for watching. This is Christmas 42, and I will see you all in another video.